Well, I think when you reflect is when the season's over, and when you're right smack dab in the middle of it, and he's such a valuable contributor, you're more focused on what he has to do to get ready for the next game. And he's had some very heavy tasks in this program, and I'm really proud of the way that he's responded to them. And he's meant a lot because he's grown with the program. He's made changes. He's gotten better. He's done an excellent job academically. And when he came in from Georgetown, there were definitely some things academically for him that left a lot to be desired. And he's come here, and his concentration level, his focus level academically, he's a very bright young man, has been very, very good, and very proud of him there. And I think that's kind of a microcosm of what he's done on the court. He's just improved, and he sees the game, through maybe a different lens than what he saw it, when he came in. And I think that's what's been very valuable for us and valuable for him. And that's how I hope that he'll be remembered, and that's how I hope that he can finish this season, being that very valuable contributor, especially in the sense of guarding and knowing what other teams want to do, and getting people shots and getting to the rim and being a good driving kick player, those kind of things.
We talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, but you mentioned him changing the lens. How do you think he viewed what he was supposed to be at the end of last season, and how did you guys go about
Well, there were definitely different conversations where we were the role was going to change, and it did. And anytime that happens, it's got to be a two-way street. And I think over a period of time, he understood. It's one thing to understand that it's the best thing for the team. That's the most important thing. But it's a whole other thing when you understand that that's the way you play best. And I think that's what's happened here. And certainly, the one thing about Jeremiah, and I've said this all year with him, is you can never look at the stat sheet and see his value. You've got to look at so many of the other qualities, the turnovers that he causes, the deflections that he gets, the responsibilities that he has of guarding different people, understanding where people are supposed to be. And when he could just really lock in and use the talent that he has, the skills that he has, but the mindset that he was developing, that's when he's been at his best. And I think that was the most important thing, for him and for us, is to get him in a role that he could absolutely flourish in. And there were some times this year that he's done that. There's been other times that he hasn't, but there's been times that he has, and I think that's what's most important, and hopefully we can finish it that way.
He obviously has had some better games than he's had recently, I guess. What do you feel like he needs to get back to?
Oh, I think he's just got to be absolutely locked in. Defensively, getting up the court, driving the ball. If the basket, if it's there, his pull-up has been good, but getting to the basket, if it's there, I just think it's just absolutely being engaged the way he's got to be defensively, and taking on those huge responsibilities, and playing like he's got no help on the court, and keeping the ball out of people's hands, and just using that strength and quickness and speed that he has. I think that's the most important thing, or most important part of it, I should say.
You played these guys pretty tough up in Madison. Is that something you can, build psychologically?
Well, it's been a while back. We know how we wanted to play them there. We know how we want to play them tomorrow night, and certainly we make adjustments. I'm sure they'll make some adjustments, and that's the most important thing. They've got, of their 5 starters, 3 of them are taking 40 of the 48 shots. Those starters. I mean, it's who you've got to really be locked into. But the thing, everybody on their court, or everybody on the court for them, can make winning plays, and that's what your team has got to be so locked in. And you can't get so wrapped up in the 3 main guys that you don't block a Jarmas out, or you leave him at the end of the shot clock and he knocks down a 3, or you let Gasser get to the basket, or you don't block out Brusiewicz. And I look at Brusiewicz and DJ Bird very, very similar. Their value on the court isn't always measured in their statistics. It's the balls they tip, keep alive. It's the toughness they play with. There's people all over the place for Wisconsin like that. He's done a very good job, over the last decade it's been more than that, I think, but of building that up and really getting that where it needs to be.
Is that something you've lacked on your team, a strong kid who just does all the little dirty work?
Yeah, we haven't had that yet. We haven't had that yet, but that's role development. Sometimes it's in recruiting, and But it's got to be a role that you got to take on every day, and that's got to be who you are. And we don't have enough guys yet that's who they are. So they have to work harder to become that, but at the same time, we have to recruit for that.
Since the game in Madison, how have you seen this Wisconsin team develop and progress over the last month?
Well, I'm not sure there's a lot of changes. I think John Moore's driving the ball more. I think that's a big one. They're taking relatively the same amount of threes. Jordan Taylor's getting to the foul line an awful lot. Keaton Ankville, I believe, is second in the league in three-point percentage. I mean, so it's still, when he gets a look, they're shot faking maybe even more. You know, they're like any other team. They always add a few things, but they're pretty much the same team. They're just better at it. If I had to answer the question specifically, it'd be the lure part, driving it more, and Jordan Taylor is making so many things happen off the ball screen with his own shot, not just with getting the ball to other people.
Is that one of the differences with that program and then where you guys are, that
Oh,
you
we
maybe
can
have to
compare
develop,
ourselves.
whereas
Yeah.
they're polishing more?
He's been doing it for a long time with that program. I mean, he walked into some pretty good players. You know, I was back there when he did, and what he did is he made all of them better. I mean, he walked into 3 guys, I think, that had been in a Final Four. And then he built on that, and he recruited well, and they've developed him, and he's done an outstanding job over a period of time. I don't spend any time comparing ourselves to them.
You've said a few times publicly that you don't think Taylor gets nearly the respect that he deserves. I guess.
Well, looking at this thing I saw today, they got him on the Cousy Award, list. I know I'm on that committee. I know Bo's on that committee. Bo went to work, and I think he deserves to.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that wholeheartedly. I mean, that if there's, I'm not sure there is a better point guard than him right now. Really not. I mean, he's really, anywhere.
Yeah.
Because the way I view a point guard, I mean, he's fantastic in assist turnover. He's got the ball in his hands more than anybody else. He's making shots from mid-range at the rim, and he's shooting a tremendous percentage from the 3. He gets to the foul line. I mean, he's got the whole package. I mean, he's gonna play for a very long time. There's no doubt about that. The great thing about that program is that they were able to bring him along, and he got opportunities, but he was able to learn and play with some of the really good guys. And when it was his time, he was ready to go. And that's one of the keys to Bo's program is he doesn't rush guys along. And that's what it says. I don't think any of us have any great idea just how good Gasser is for him to be playing that much on Bo's team right now. As a freshman, he must be really good, because that's a heck of an honor, to be playing in his program that young.
And how much of an advantage is that over where you've had to rush guys along a little bit?
Oh, it's not even in the same stratosphere. So I mean, again, I can't even quantify that with any type of comparison. It's not. I mean, we just want to be better tomorrow night. That's the bottom line. And there's certainly a standard bearer in the league and around the country in that sense. But he's got one of the best programs in all of college basketball. And because they know exactly what they're going to do, he recruits exactly the way he wants to recruit, and he's built it over a long period of time. And even when we were going head-to-head, an hour and a half from each other, you still look at it and have tremendous respect for what he does. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I think there's a guy who should be in the conversation for National Coach of the Year. And I think we got some other guys in our league, obviously Matt, that should be in that, but no question that and probably Thad, I mean, with what he's done with that team, but Bo should be in that conversation as well.
You played 2 games in a little over 36 hours. Can you allow yourself to peek ahead, or is it just focused?
Oh, as coaches, we do, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's no question. So you have to. But you would if it was 72 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, just what as coaches, you'd be ready to go with that. So coaches are always doing it, but we don't do it with the team.
Do you handle, like most coaches, do you have like an assistant kind of on rotation, like every 3rd guy, or like, one guy gets one game, one guy gets the next?
A little
and it kind
differently
of
here.
rotates?
Little differently here. A little bit more 2 guys. But I'd like to think that I'm pretty well locked in, and I like to watch, and then we compare notes. And then those guys put the scout report together. I'll give them a couple of things that I think, and then I spend a lot of time with all of them on the game plan. I want them to be, they've got to get ahead, but I don't want, the one thing I can't stand, and I've seen it happen before, and I don't ever want it to happen with us, and it hasn't, is that one guy is so far out in front of the other team that he's not locked into what's going on in this game. You might as well just send that guy out recruiting.
Right.
And that's not what you want to do. You want to have everybody locked into the game, and that's what we've done here. So because the most important part of it is not what we plan, it's how it comes out in practice, and then certainly how we transfer that to them and how it transfers from them to the game, and how they take it out with the opponent.
How's the balance work? I mean, how do you get a guy to be 2 games ahead or whatever, or a game ahead?
No, we're not that. It's really a game, but they're starting to know the league. Betty and Tim really know the league. Steve's learning the league.
Right.
So, Steve spends a lot of time with me, locked into that present game. And then somebody's on the game, somebody's probably jumped ahead, and then when we come together, we really talk about, there's a lot of teams that are very similar in this league, like the way they play screens, the way they play ball screens. So some of those things can overlap for you. You know, everybody runs different things, but I mean, some of the defensive concepts are relatively the same in some of the programs. So that always helps. We're in the Big East. I mean, every game was a different preparation completely. But what they do is they're like the old Green Bay Packers with the power sweep. They know, you know what they're going to run. They know what they're going to run. They dare you to stop it, and they're pretty good at it. And tomorrow night is one of those teams.
You get in the last week of the season here. How's this team, your team, developed and gotten better from the start of the Big Ten season to where it is now?
Oh, I think they're better. JD did a great study for us on where we've improved over the last 3 years, statistically. That's not, really to talk about now, but to look at it. I mean, there's significant improvement in so many areas other than the rebounding. Right now, I don't like we're fouling too much, and we've got to do a better job of being in position and moving our feet. And some of that is anticipation. Some of that is keeping the dribble in front of us so we don't have to rotate as much. Some of that is communication, those type of things. And we don't want to regress in the communication area. We don't want to regress in those areas. We did on Sunday. We really did. We made some just ridiculous mistakes defensively when we were trying to get back in the game. And those are the things that we can't have happen. But bottom line for us, we're not shooting the ball well enough. We're not shooting the ball as well as we were in a stretch a few weeks back. And that's got to, hopefully it's got to get better. We're certainly spending the time at it. And I say that our screening's gotten better. So really, we're missing shots that we usually make, and that some of those guys usually make. And so we've just got to keep playing inside of that. But again, that's the stuff I look at. I don't really have a reflection part of it, exactly where we were at the beginning to where we are now. And but anytime you have a team that's had a long season, especially with young guys, that you're asking a lot out of them, especially with the freshmen, and even with the older guys, the biggest thing for me right now is that our concentration and our focus is really strong, really strong. And that's where we got to quit making some unforced turnovers, where we got to quit having fouls that aren't needed. We got to beat guys to spots, make catches harder. Those are the kind of things we're locked into right now.
Coach McLean mentioned on the call earlier this week, was talking about Jordan and the adjustment it takes when you start to become a focal point, I guess, both of the offense and opposing teams' scouting report. What all does that take? I mean, what all adjustments, I guess, has he had to go through now that, one, he's looking to take more shots, and obviously other teams know that he's going to be taking
Well, one of the things that's hurting him is he's not at a great percentage, but some other guys aren't either. So, I mean, anytime somebody is making shots, the thing that separates this league is most teams in this league, I said it last year, and it's the same this year, maybe even better. They put 5 scorers. Some people put 5 shooters on the court. But there are 5 people on the best teams that can score baskets. And when you have that, then you're not cheating off. And so it's a lot easier for people to play a man and a half on him, for them to double the pick and roll, for them to come off the corner when he's driving the ball. Those are the kind of things. Strength is going to change some of that for him. Getting fouled and being a little more creative with his shot fake and things like that are going to help him. He's working hard at that. But you look at the improvement that he has made, and this is a good answer to your question. His off-the-dribble improvement is tremendous. I mean, the way he's getting mid-range shots and coming off 2 dribbles and things like that, he's really worked hard at that. But those two, those are harder to come by. Because people have run him off the 3-point line a little bit. He's done a pretty good job of getting to the basket. But I think he's going to play very well. He's not playing poorly at all. He's just not making as many shots. But I think he's made improvements. I think he'll continue to make improvements. There might be some people that work as hard away from practice and away from requirements, but there's nobody that works more. And I think that's what you want. And when you've got that, and he's locked in. I mean, he's locked into what needs to be done to get better and what the team needs to do to get better. I mean, his focus is strong. So when you got a guy like that, you know he's going to bust out. And you just keep doing things to keep his confidence up and keep putting him in position to succeed.